Assalamu Alaikum, Uncle.
Walaikum Assalam, Abu. How was your school today?
It was good, Uncle. How was your work?
It was fine, Abu. So, have you finished your homework?
Yes, Uncle. I had finished that as soon as I reached home.
Very good, Abu. So, are you ready for the story then?
I am, Uncle.
I'm so glad that you are loving the stories, Abu.
Yes, Uncle. I just love their stories.
Inshallah.
Uncle, which story are you going to tell me today?
I'll tell you the story of Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha.
Please tell his story, Uncle.
Alright. Now listen carefully. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The priests from different tribes started publicly prosecuting the supporters of the Prophet. It was during this time that a Christian king named Al-Najashi was ruling Abyssinia. The Prophet had heard about the righteousness, tolerance and hospitality of this kind ruler. When the persecution became unbearable for the people, the Prophet advised them to emigrate to Abyssinia. Some 15 families emigrated to this country in small groups to avoid detection. This is called the first hijrah in the history of Islam. This happened during the 5th year of the Prophet's mission. The emigrants received a kind reception from the king and his people. They were soon followed by many others who suffered at the hands of the evil priests in Makkah. The number of people who emigrated soon reached 100. When the priests heard about this, they were furious. They decided not to leave the immigrants in peace. They immediately sent 2 envoys to the king for bringing back all of them. When the envoys met the king, he summoned the poor fugitives and asked them what they had to say. Jafar, the son of Abu Talib and brother of Ali, then spoke for the exiles. O king, we were plunged in the depth of barbarism. We adored idols. We disregarded everything. And we had no law. Then Allah raised a man among us who was pure and honest. He taught us to worship Allah and forbade us from worshipping the idols. He taught us to speak the truth and to be faithful. We believe in him and we have accepted his teachings. His followers were persecuted, forcing us to back into worship the idols again. When we found no safety in among them, we came to your kingdom, trusting us to save us from them. When the king heard his speech, he asked the envoy to return to their land and not to interfere with the immigrants. While his followers sought refuge in foreign lands, the Prophet continued his preaching against strict opposition. Some of them mocked at him and they asked for a sign. Then the Prophet would say, Allah has not sent me to work wonders. He has sent me to preach to you. But the priests persisted, didn't agree with him. They insisted that unless they saw a sign, they would not believe in his Lord. The disbeliever used to ask, why is he not showing any miracles like previous prophets? Because miracles had proved inadequate to convince, answered the Prophet. Noah was sent with signs. Then what happened? Where was the lost tribe of Thamud? They refused to believe in Prophet Salih alayhi salam unless they showed a sign. Then the Prophet caused the rocks to break and brought forth a living camel. He did what they asked for. Then what happened? In anger, the people cut the camel's feet and again dared the Prophet to fulfill his threat of judgment. Eventually, they all lay dead in their beds the next morning. There are some 17 places in Quran in which the Prophet is challenged to show a sign, but he gave all of them the same answer. After some time, the priest approached Abu Talib again and asked him to abandon his nephew. But the honorable man declared his intention to protect the Prophet against any harm. Certain events forced the Quraysh to lift the ban on the Muslims. The Prophet and his followers were allowed to return to Makkah after 3 long years. In the following year, his uncle Abu Talib passed away. He was a great supporter of the Prophet for many years. He had grown very sick and weak, and he died soon after returning to Makkah. Khadija's health was not in great shape either. She had suffered great hardships. The food was scarce, and instead of eating herself, she used to give all the food to her children and husband. Once the richest woman in Makkah spent her last few days as a poor. She passed away a few days after Abu Talib's death. Prophet had lost his most loyal supporters. He was heartbroken. He could hardly manage to keep his mind strong. He called that year the year of sorrow. Whenever he spoke of Khadija, he spoke of her with great love and fondness. Khadija's life is a source of great inspiration to believers, especially women. Her story is a reminder to live a purposeful life. We should remember Khadija and the whole family of Prophet in our prayers for their sacrifice and dedication. May Allah be pleased with them all. That's all, Abu. Next time, I'll tell you another story.
Thanks. Ma salam, Yusuf uncle.
May Allah bless you. Ma salam, Abu. I will see you soon. Next time when I come here, I will tell you more stories.
Sure, uncle. It was a really nice story. Thanks a lot, uncle.
You're welcome, my son. May Allah bless you. Ma salam.
Ma salam, Uncle Yusuf.